what happened was, I kept saying to the publisher, this book, Boy and a Wire, it's a good book, isn't it? Yes, it's a good book. Well, how do we keep the sales going? And he kept saying, write another book. Quickly, I write a book quickly. And then I remembered, of course, this dark patch. And I went back and I read Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, and I read Randolph Stowe's. And I thought, that's it. I haven't had vision at all. Not for me. No, it's unhealthy. But I've always wanted to write. All my life I wanted to write. I didn't want to do all the things that I did. I didn't want to do any of them really. But I always wanted to write. Stories always fascinated me. My grandfather Roy was a storyteller, and I remember sitting in a semicircle around him when we were kids in Bridgetown. The whole street. Well, that wasn't really a street because we were just in a kind of huddle of Dousts. As you went north out of Bridgetown, there was Dousts. We all lived there. Well, that's us. That was Alfred's side, and then there was Henry's side on the other side, out of Winnichip. They all lived out there. And so we would all gather at Roy's house, and we'd sit around him. And I remember my mother would have to come and speak harshly to him because he couldn't stop telling stories, and we couldn't stop listening. So stories have always been very big in my life.
Could read this book and see it as a work of a misogynist writer or misogynistic acts in what may be seen as autobiography?
Yes, I mean, I'm a reader. And I think that most people who read are able to discern and find the threads. And I wrote it in a particular way obviously to reveal, well, not to tell threads, but to reveal threads. And I expect that some people will say, oh, there's too much sex in it, or there's too much violence. Well, that's the way that I said to myself, by golly, those chaps are misogynist. No, I didn't say that. But I know that the realisation came upon me fairly quickly, because after I came home, I'd been working in management for about 2 years, and I suddenly realised that most of my friends were women. I think it's beyond brutally honest, because a lot of people will assume, of course, Jack is me, but I think Jack isn't me. Jack's like the son my father thinks I should have had. Your son is a much nicer boy than you were at his age. And I said to him, well, you know, I'm not surprised. He's got much nicer parents. It's not been a relief. It's not been a cathartic experience. It's been a very troubling experience. I think I've only added to my encumbrances. I don't know that, no, but the story was too important not to be told, and I didn't think it had been told. Same with Boy on a Wire. Nobody told the story of boarding school. Nobody told that story. I had to tell that story. I had to pile the pressure on. I had to just stack it and had to make him break. Because that's a lot of men, that's the only way they're going to change. If they break, they won't change until they're busted. So I had to, in my particular case, it didn't happen quite like that. I broke a couple of months after I came home. That's when I was finally smashed. But I thought the book's got to finish in that year, because 1968 was also a fascinating year. All those student riots and Robert Kennedy. As luck would have it, it is luck, because the first 30 years of my life were very adventurous and quite dysfunctional. And I feel blessed that I have this ability to tell stories and reframe stories, because that gives me something to do with the memories. Without that, I would just be sitting at home morose and heavily medicated.
So right.
And I'm sorry, I was about to say, and that's no future for a man with my knees.